Good morning, it's me. If you haven't met me before, my name's Sunday. I'm the founder of this group, which started in 2016. And if you've not met me before, this is who I am, this is what I sound like, and a very warm welcome if you are new into Healing Parents. It's quite early in the morning in the UK here. Hello, Melody. And I've come in because obviously I'm feeling that possibly a lot of us were celebrating Mother's Day yesterday, and so I've come in to check out how you're doing and remembering how I felt, because we have Mother's Day in March in the Hi Gloria in the UK. And I remember, for me, how difficult it was these days, Mother's Day especially, because all the everything's in the shop, everybody's talking about Mother's Day, there's flowers and pictures, and it's just it can be very upsetting. And I wondered as well just how many of us were waiting with anticipation, hope, maybe some of us even with expectation that our adult children would reach out to us, especially if we're in the first stages, like a year or less, or maybe even 2 years or less, or maybe even longer than that. It's not easy to let go of that. Will they reach out? Birthdays, our own birthdays, and those are the things that we do on our own, but Mother's Day seems to me to be a real collective. And as we get older, it seems to be even more in your face type thing, especially if you've lost children in other ways, if they've died or, our own mothers have died. It's quite an emotive time. So I wonder as well, there's an invitation from me to explore how you dealt with it, how you dealt with yourself really yesterday. And whether you've noticed anything shifted, if you're quite a number of years into this, whether you recognised the difference as the years have gone by in yourself. For most of us, it'll have got a little bit easier. We won't be quite so bereft, we won't be quite so in the mire of the emotions that we feel. And maybe, that's a time to congratulate yourself, to notice that actually I did this year, it was better than last year, or it was better than how I remembered. Because that searing pain that goes through your heart, in fact, it's the whole of your front of your body, it seems to me. I don't know, that's my sensations, that when I feel that sort of deep sorrow, it seems to take up sort of like from my throat, top of my throat, all the way down. And stops at the base of my body. But it's like this front part of me is just like sore, achy. And then the thoughts that I have that accompany that are pretty horrific. And that's one thing that I have learnt over the years, is to be aware of how I'm thinking, be aware of how I'm talking to myself. Because it's the thoughts. And if you're not aware of your thoughts, you're sort of in the victimness of your body, because your sensations in your body take over. Then we're wired, cellular memory, we're wired to remember pain and also, joy as well. And it's like, which do you choose? Situations in life are really tough to navigate. Life is tough, it just is. It's not just estrangement, that many of us will be dealing with other stuff, our own health, relationships, money, all those major things, where we live, all that stuff, it all sort of compounds. And for some of us, maybe we've got all that handled, and we're in a stable relationship, we've got a lovely home, the money's okay, and we've just got these kids that are exiting stage left, and in whatever way they do, disappearing into anonymity, never to be heard of from, or knowing where they are, or with a little bit of fire. And and I want to remind you that if you are in connection, if you are in connection with your adult child who is sort of estranged, there's this difference between being physically estranged and relationship estranged. You know, that connection that you don't feel, like it's all surface stuff, it's not very real. Both of you are sort of playing parts, and you don't seem to be able to know how to get into the realness of a relationship with them. And I'm sort of thinking I've got loads of tracks that I could go down with this then. But yeah, go back to the original, which is if they're still in connection with you, there is a change that's needed in the way that you communicate together. And seeing as though you're the one that's in here, and there's so much information about boundaries, communication skills, how to ask for what you want, how to express what isn't working for you, etc., etc. You're the one with possibly more information than your adult child, so maybe it's on you. And I think it is, as parents, you know, it is on us to sort of see if we can change that, you know. And it's scary because a little bit of contact is better than no contact. I read somewhere today that, you know, that an okay relationship, or even like any relationship, is better than none. And that is a big question. Is that true for you? Is any relationship, no matter how difficult, abusive, disconnected, artificial, is it okay that you have a relationship like that? And I know the answer for me is no. And that's not to say that I don't stay in them when they're like that, because I do, I have done, until there comes to be a sort of breaking point and you think, I need to change something here. More often than not, maybe that's not true. I was going to say that sometimes some of us will just choose to walk away, whereas some of us might choose to experiment and see, how can I make this relationship better? How can I make it different? And what I've known, what I've come to know over the years, is that does demand a level of risk, transparency, honesty, openness to say, do you know, and asking the question, do you know what? Would you like our relationship to be a little bit different than how it is now? And then leave a space for the other person to have a ponder and say, because it's not really working for me like this, and I would very much like it to be different, a bit more connected, well, a lot more connected. And, you know, when you're scared, this is what I've known about myself as well, that when you're in fear, when you have a conversation and it's a difficult one, often the fear comes across as anger, and we sort of like blurt it out and the energy's all like scrambled and all over the place. So at some level it's getting to a place where you're okay to say those words in a grounded, calm, measured, non-expectant way. You know, it's not easy, because we have to get over our fear. What if they go? What if they say no? I mean, can you imagine if you said to somebody, would you like a more connected relationship, something that feels a little bit easier, and they say no? Just how, oh, okay. How would you respond to that? You know, because it's like having these phrases in your back pocket ready to use. So if I was saying that to somebody and they said no like that to me, I say, okay, so have a think about it, and if you change your mind, let me know, you know. Yeah. And difficult relationships pop up all the time. So at the moment I'm in a new property, I'm in a new house, and we've got new neighbours. I'm trying to get a gardener. I had a gardener who came who I couldn't get a word in edgeways. You know, it's like I was having to butt in and he wasn't listening to me. And then I had another gardener who said, yes, he'd love to do the job. And then when I reached out to him, he said, no, I don't. He was a no. And I was disappointed. And I nearly went into chasing, and I thought, nah, I'm not going to do that. I said, well, because I'd given him days that I could. So you get the gist. you get the gist that there's opportunities to develop our communication skills in every moment that we're in relationship with somebody, in the street, in the shops, in our home. It's just, and that's the practice. And if like if somebody's not listening to you, how do you say that? If somebody hogs a conversation, I think a lot of us in here are sort of like people pleasers, and we'll sort of stay quiet because that's the way we are. We want to be polite and say no. I read somewhere a really funny meme that said people pleasers, when they start to put the boundaries in, feel like they're the villains of the world, like they're being rude. Some people struggle to say no because they think it's rude. It's amazing that, isn't it? It is to me anyway, because like, why would you not practice, And there's something in me that I know that if I don't hear somebody's no, I can't trust their yes either. I've had a big piece of work around that in my life. This no yes thing. I've asked people to do stuff and they'll go, yes. And every fibre in their body is sort of like indicating to me that they don't really want to do it. So I've said, are you sure you want to do this? Yes. And then later they get all resentful. You made me do that, no, I didn't. You chose to do it, It's like, where was your no in that moment? I know I've done that. Not saying no. This is the thing about not saying no. When you don't say no and you say yes instead, when really you wanted to say no, you end up feeling angry with the person that you're saying yes to. Have you noticed that? And then you have this little seed of resentment, and you make them out to be the bad person. They're sort of making you do something you don't want to do. Like, if you really unpick that, it's me, when I've done that in the past, it's been me. I've said yes when I should have said no, and then I start to get cross with the person who I'm saying yes to. How unfair is that? Because they don't even know, if they're not sensitive and can't say. It's interesting, it's fascinating. I love this type of stuff because this is like for me, this is like the bedrock of relationships. It's like the nuts and bolts, the foundation, the absolute essence of, what's going on here for us both? What do we need to do to change this? Have you got any ideas? Have I got any ideas? Let's put it in the pot. How do we do this differently? It sounds easy, doesn't it? And it's not. So anyway, that was a long thing about Mother's Day. So if you're feeling a bit battered and a bit sore still and a bit bruised, how are you going to take care of yourself today? Because that's the other thing, this self-care, self-love. How can you give yourself compassion? How can you give yourself a sanctuary of healing, balm today? What would you like to do for yourself? How can you nourish yourself if you had a rough day yesterday and if it's still leaking into today? How can you nourish yourself? How can you take care of yourself? A lot of us will just, I know I used to comfort eat, and somebody will drink or drugs or those sorts of opting out of feeling type things. I'll put the peace process feeling video in the bottom in the comments so that you can, if you're not familiar with that practice, this is something that changed my life actually. Learning how to commune with my feelings in my body was an amazing piece of self-development work that I ever did, that I learnt in America, by the way, over in California. And it's not too much to say that it has significantly changed my life, because now I don't get overwhelmed with my feelings. Depression and anxiety, they pop up and they say hello and then they go because they've been acknowledged. I don't harbour them, I don't pull them in close, and neither do I reject them, these feelings. It's, if we find our own way of how we handle things. So, yeah, let me know how it was for you yesterday. I'd love to hear underneath this video, and I'll pop this up on my YouTube channel as well, so that it's there for others who stumble across me, healing parents and estrangement. So yeah, thank you all for watching. It's great to see you all. And have a sweet day. Monday the 13th of May. We're nearly at the middle of May. And yeah, bless you. Bye for now. Bye-bye.